Dude, so my Mac actually dumped. I had the iCloud issues after. So we were sitting at Expo, and it
Yep.
said you're out of data. Spend $10 a month for one whatever the terabyte. And it's like no. So I went in and like managed all my stuff and stopped syncing, and all of a sudden I lost my desktop.
Are you
I,
serious?
yeah, I lost a lot of. Luckily, it's all stuff that had already been posted, but just gone forever.
Man,
Yeah,
that sucks.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
that's that's no good.
Yeah, there's a reason I do most of my stuff at my day job on a non-Apple product.
That's how I was for my whole career. And then I quit my 9 to 5, started doing this, full time, got a brand new MacBook, and it's a struggle, man. I'm not very tech adverse to begin with. And going from a PC to Mac has just been a struggle. So it's not my thing. Nor do I really care. I use what I have to use, and you know, anything more than that, not really interested in.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
Uh, we were talking about that at work recently. I'm an accountant, so um, we were talking about how most of the people had Macs at home, but you have to have very specific software just to be able to get a second monitor, and you have to buy a very specific second monitor. I'm like, my God, they really decided like, no, the entire business world is just not
Yep.
something we're going after. Like,
Yeah. I need to set up my home office, and just went to Best Buy a couple weeks ago to get like you know two two monitors, and the connection that works with the MacBook, and I had to be yeah it was just a big pain in the butt because I have stuff here like some old monitors that I could use, but they weren't compatible. So imagine that, had to go spend some more money on Apple.
oh yeah.
Got to keep that stock price up, man.
That's right.
Or are they like just like actively trying to keep people from buying the computers? Because that makes up like something like 3% of their revenue is
Right.
computers. I'm curious if they're like pushing to a point where they're like, if we make this inconvenient enough, people will just F off.
Right. Well, as far as technology goes, I would love to just F off as much as possible.
Yeah, I
Like
can
I
100% get on board with that.
yeah, like I use my phone for social media and to call people and text people, and that's about it. And I try to put my phone away in the evenings, and just try to do the old school thing and just watch TV. And without the phone, my wife, she's on her phone. We'll be watching the show. I'm like, not even watching the show. Yes, I am. Like, you're on TikTok, you're on, Instagram. You're scrolling. She's like, I'm watching the show. You're not even looking at the TV. How can you be watching the show?
That's the new watching the show, man. It's just the smaller show. It's
Right,
all right
right.
here.
Smaller shows. I'm
Yeah,
watching. Yeah. So
hold on. Isn't marriage now just two people sitting on a couch sending reels back and forth while they're watching a show that nobody's actually watching?
I think that's actually all relationships. It's not just marriage. I know that, like,
Not
me and
just
my buddies, our
yeah.
that's our relationships have evolved into that. Just we
Oh,
communicate through reels. We just bash each other through reels. That's what we do.
Jed and mine's personal chat is a lot of Lord of the Rings memes, random hunting things, and then some like blatant OSHA violations that we find funny.
The best
Have
part
you?
is when Ethan will text me and he's like, "Are you working from home today? You're very active in the reels."
Right. Well, it's like yeah. Do you find there's that account on TikTok?
We don't
Bob.
we don't do
You
TikTok. We're
you don't do
adults.
TikTok?
We
Yeah, you're
digest our
adults.
TikToks 2 weeks later as Instagram reels.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Like
there's an
adults.
right, like adults. Yeah. No, it's like adults, like true Americans, right? You guys stick to the Instagram. No, there's an account on there though called it's called Bob, and they're like Japanese reels, and they're cartoons, and they're like safety videos, and this guy just does commentary on them, and it shows like people like falling off ladders, falling off buildings, all these like OSHA safety violations, but it's all like Japanese. and
Mm.
Bob just does commentary, and dude, sometimes I'll see a reel of his, and then I'll just like get down this rabbit hole where I'm just, next thing I know, I've spent like 30 minutes just watching these reels of this like Japanese cartoons, OSHA safety violations of people dying in various ways on the job site. It's pretty entertaining. So
I saw a parody of that. It was like an Asian guy working in a steel mill or whatever, and then all of a sudden a Live Leaks logo showed up in the corner. He's like, "Oh shit!" and just ran away. I'm like, yeah, that's about the state of the internet these days.
Yeah, that's funny. Good times.
All
Good
right.
times.
Well, obviously that's what we are here to discuss, the
Right.
funny things we see online. But yeah, welcome to another episode of the School of Hard Knocks. Just so you know, all the important stuff was already said, as you heard. We got an awesome guest here tonight, and before we hop in, Ethan wants to make an announcement or a plug real quick.
Yeah, so two things. First off, the bow giveaway is still going on. This podcast will launch the 17th. This is the
St. Patty's Day?
This is the St. Patty's Day episode. We didn't. Wow, great planning on our
Wow.
part. Happy
I know.
St. Patty's Day,
You
everyone.
guys are wearing green, yeah.
Second part of that, though, is we are still doing the VXR giveaway that's running until April 1st. Go to our website, redpatchoutdoors.com, get subscribed to the email list. That is the required mode of entry. There's a whole list of additional entries on there. And then another big drop this weekend, or last weekend, once this have come out. We're launching this the 10th. We have our new sweatshirts, our PO Gear sweatshirts. So they're pretty sweet. Check them out. So that's what I got. And now we have our good friend Josh from Deadshot.
Hope you guys.
Yeah. Well, Josh, we got an awesome chance to chat this summer over at MAF. That was great. But
Yeah.
for all of our listeners who don't know you, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I appreciate the opportunity. Josh with Deadshot Nutrition, formerly known as Wild Fit. Last summer when we met with you, or I met you guys, we talked. I just launched my business, and the first product I had was Deadshot. So a little background about myself: I come from the nutraceutical industry. For just over 10 years, I was a formulator and research and development for some contract manufacturers. We produced many supplements in the nutraceutical space, both in just health and wellness, as well as like sports nutrition. I have a background in formulations in powder, solid dose, that's capsules, tablets, and kind of made a career as a flavorist within the powder space. That was kind of my bread and butter, was flavoring, creating powdered products. And in the hunting industry, there has been a crossover with sports nutrition supplements that traditionally were for like gym rats, bodybuilders, power lifters. Those have started to cross over into the industry, the hunting industry. I worked with brands that were involved with that, and it really kind of lit my fire as far as what I really wanted to do, and that was to pursue my dream of taking something that I understood, that it was somewhat of a subject matter expert in, and applying it to something that I'm passionate about, and that's the outdoors, hunting, and just trying to create products that address the needs of the everyday outdoorsman. Hunters, blue collar hunters like you and I. So that was that was really, the genesis of launching my own supplement line. And Deadshot Nutrition tagline is Deadshot, always on target. So the products in my line, as I grow, will have one focus, and that is one goal, I should say, and that is to keep the outdoorsman, keep the hunter on target, whether that's with their nutrition and training before season, or when they're in the field with uh, product offerings to help them, achieve their goals. And that's who I am, and that's what Deadshot's all about.
Awesome. All right. So, what got you into like the supplement side of things? Like, how did you start that as a career?
Yeah, no, that's you know, just dumb luck. I started college, and I was kind of set on pharmacy, like being a pharmacist. And I was at the time, like through my 20s, I actually was like really into bodybuilding. My wife competed, did some bodybuilding competitions, like in a bikini. And I always kind of wanted to do that. So it was always something that I was really interested in. And I remember, like, I'm old enough that when supplements like your pre-workouts, your BCAs, wow, dude, when those like first started hitting the market, I remember the first bottle of BCAs, they weren't instantized. So literally it was like grains of fiberglass floating on top of water, and you would like freaking drink it. Like they didn't dissolve. And it was like the worst experience trying to choke down these BCAs. And I so I was always interested in supplements. And as I kind of, you know, went through college, I I was going to Weber State University here in Utah, Ogden, Utah, and they had a program where you could called it a bachelor's of integrated studies. So you would essentially graduate with like 3 minors, and they offered nutrition as a minor and like health promotion and sales. And I was like, oh, like I gravitated towards nutrition just because of my bodybuilding background. And I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. And then I kind of shifted gears from, like being a pharmacist, like going going that route to it'd be kind of cool to be a nutritionist. And then I looked at programs, like there was a university in southern Utah that had like sports medicine, and I just like had these ideas, these grandiose ideas of like having like my own gym and like my own supplements. And that's kind of the vision I had, right? Well, I had a buddy that started a job as an account manager at this company called VMI Nutrition. And I was like, VMI Nutrition? Like, what do they do? And he's like, yeah, they make supplements, like powdered products, like protein powders and BCAs. And I was like, no way. Like, in my mind, I thought all brands just like made their own product. Like they bought their own equipment and facilities, and made their own product. And like there was like Dymatize, the protein powder and everything. And I thought that's how it was. So it's like, yeah, VMI Nutrition. I was like, no way. And anyway, I saw on Facebook that he'd posted that there was a position available as an account manager. And I had experience as an account manager at another company in sales. I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm gonna apply for this. This is like right up my alley, right? And so I went in there and I applied for this position and at VMI Nutrition, and interviewed, and they called me in for a second interview. And they're like, hey, gave me a tour of the whole like plant, the facility, R&D lab and everything. And my mind was just like blown. Like, man, I didn't even know this industry like really existed, pretty naive about it, just young, young kid or whatever. And so after that second interview, they called me and they said, we're expanding. We're still a small company, but we're wanting to start like a research and development department. And, you have an interest in, nutrition and all these things. We think you would be a good fit for research and development. So I got in with this small company, and they brought me on in R&D, and just like it was baptism by fire, man. Like I had no training. Like they gave me this like three ring binder that had like steps on like different things, and I remember like my like first week on the job, the VP of sales like put this protein meal replacement powder on my desk, and he's like, "All right, Josh, like you see the nutrition panel here." He's like, "We need to reverse engineer this and create a formula just using their nutrition panel." And I was like, "What?" like, where do I even start?
Here's the
And
answer. Find the problem.
right. And that, like, I remember, spending like weeks on that, just trying to, reverse engineer this formula, for this meal replacement just off the label. And like I remember like second week on the job, like the VP of sales, like I had to do quoting and stuff. I quoted this product. It was like a BCA product that we were gonna run and everything. And I'd been given like a 10-minute like tutorial on how to quote for the company, like published quotes. And the VP of sales was like, "What do you think about our margin?" And I was like, "It's good." He's like, "All right, I'm gonna send this to the customer." And I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I just, crunch these numbers. Some of them could be made up, like whatever." And that's how I got my start. And it really was just on the job training. And I found this like niche. I'm from Utah. I live in Utah, thanks to Orrin Hatch. And that senator back in the 90s, Utah is a hub for the nutraceutical space. And I just got in, kind of lucked out, and the rest is history. And just, I wanted to quit like the first 6 months. This is a really funny story. I got to share this story. Hilarious. I started with this girl, right? Me and her started on the exact same day. And she like our very first day on the job, they sent us to GNC to buy like these products that we wanted to try and like flavor match, right? They were like some pre-workouts, some BCAs, whatever. So me and this girl go to, GNC, we buy these products, and like just I think she lasted the first week, and then she just like disappeared. And she quit. She couldn't handle it. And they had given us these notepads, right? When we started. And on the notepad, he had written some notes or whatever in some of the trainings, and she was just trying to figure it out. And like halfway through the notepad, she had written on top of the page, "By the time I get to this point, I really hope I know what I'm doing." And it was just like, it's like, dude, it was like we were prisoners of war almost. Like I felt it, man. I really just felt it. I was like, man, this is just kicking my ass. Like I don't know what's going on. Like nothing in school or nothing I had done up to that point had, prepared me or trained me for any of the skills I needed for that job. And but it was a lot of fun, and that's how I got my start. Just kind of lucked into it, and really, it was something that I was really interested in and really passionate about. And and from there, I just made a career out of it.
What year was this?
So I started there in March 3rd of 2013.
Wow. Okay.
March 3rd of 2013. Yep.
Oh,
11
yeah,
years
so a
deep.
while back.
Yeah, a while back. So
Yeah,
yeah, and
you were.
it's wild. Dude, I remember, like, I'll just say the name, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But Mountain Ops, they're
We all know
local,
them.
and I remember, yeah, I remember when they started, man. Like, I've been, like I remember hearing about it and stuff. I was like, oh, that's cool, and like, I just like wanted to, you know, work on that account so bad. I never did in my career with them specifically. I've met, various members of their team and stuff, but it was just really cool. Like, I just remember when they kind of got things started. I had heard about them, and I was like, dude, they, Mountain Ops, supplements for hunters. That's cool, and they were really onto something cool with that, and yeah, so it was just a lot of fun. Worked on. I mean, it's fun. Like I'll go into like a GNC or a supplement store, and you know the sales. I'll have a salesman like talk to me, and
I know
just
more than you. Go away.
no,
Ron
it's just
Swanson
funny.
moment.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like when before I quit my 9 to 5, like there was a really big brand that I worked with, and they're everywhere. And like, people, oh, have you tried this? Pre-workout, and it's like, yeah, I've tried it. Yeah,
I developed it.
yeah, like I've tried it. I've tried it a few times.
I know all the things you know and all the things you don't know.
Yeah. So, but it's really cool because that's it's really something that I love supplements. I think supplements have their place. I think supplements are great and can be applied to many applications. But I really think there's a lot of posturing with brands. There's a lot of you know just fluff and label dressing. With a lot
Marketing.
of the,
It's called marketing.
yeah, it's called marketing, right? There's a lot of that, and that's where I want to like differentiate myself with my brand is really efficacious dosing, you know, less is more as far as ingredients, and really just educating and just trying to find my angle to really help, you know, the hunter, help the outdoorsman, and that, that's the goal. So
So, question on that, Josh. As a hunter and outdoorsman, what is your focus for nutrition? Like the supplements that, as a hunter, just
mhm.
to be honest, I take Mountain Ops. It's what I currently have. I have
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pre-workout. I have I use the Ignite after the pre-workout. I
right.
use their protein powder as a meal replacement. I have all their vitamins. I'm running the
Yeah,
gamut right now, if you will.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
if you had to focus on just a few key elements of the supplements? Which ones, as a hunter and outdoorsman, would you be focusing more on yourself as someone that fully understands supplements and what they do to the body, other than like, I take this one because it's got a lot of caffeine in it.
It had a blue
Yeah,
label and it made me happy.
This one
right.
sounds like an elk.
Yeah, no, it's funny. So first off, like my adrenal glands are just like zapped probably for life from all the caffeine I've consumed over my career. I've you know days when I was developing flavors for a pre-workout. It'd get to a point where I had to spit in a cup, because I had so much caffeine. Didn't want my like heart to explode. But you know, th- like I said, supplements have their place, and there are times when you need that jolt of energy, right? And caffeine is one of the most effective stimulants out there. It's one of the most effective stimulants when it comes to um, performance. So athletes really do gain a benefit from caffeine. And if you have a heavy pack out and you've had a long day, um, you know caffeine could really help you get the juices going, right? So like energy drinks, pre-workouts, whatever you want to classify those as, yeah, they definitely have their time and place. And they're great. I use them daily almost. But, it doesn't really make sense for someone to take a high dose of caffeine, if they're sitting in a tree stand and want to execute a shot when a buck walks by, or if you're headed out on the 3D course on an archery shoot, you probably don't want to load up yourself with caffeine. And also caffeine, there comes a point, there's a trade-off where, if you don't cycle off of it before a performance, some of those effects are actually negated. So, is it very effective? Yeah. There's a lot of products, caffeine's in everything. And protein, similarly, is finding its way into everything. Now, as like when I'm out in the woods, like there are things that I'm looking for, and it's things to help me like stimulate the mind, without a high dose of caffeine. Because in some of those scenarios and situations, I don't need that, nor do I want that. That's why with my first product, it is a low stim, has caffeine, but at a low dose, but it's paired with theanine, amino acid that helps calm the mind, promotes relaxation without drowsiness. And then the caffeine, the two of them, work synergistically to give you that calming focus, right? So I'll stack, Deadshot with like my pre-workout when I go to the gym, because I find that, it helps with the jitters. Sometimes those high stim pre-workouts and stuff, you can get a little bit of the shakes, a little bit of the jitters. Everybody, to a certain degree, react to, caffeine, have various levels of sensitivities, whatever, and I really am a proponent of, nootropics, and, things that can help, with cognitive function, boost cognitive function, focus. And that's really, base, the basis for, my supplement line. And I'm starting to ramble a little bit here, and I apologize, but
No, it's all
That's
good
what we're
input.
looking for.
yeah, no, I really think, you know, uh, for the hunter and everything, like, yeah, there's moments when you like a pre-workout is great. Um, and there's a lot of ingredients in a lot of pre-workouts people take that don't do anything. And but like, going to the gym and getting a pump, yeah, there's vasodilators, NO3 inhibitors that, can help with the pump, help with your perceived like fatigue. And, that's great. You probably don't need that when you're, trying to execute a shot, but when you're training for the elk woods, that's great. Um, and that's what I want to do with my product offering, is really, it's specialized nutrition and supplementation, for the hunter. So products that make sense to have in your pack when you're hunting, products that make sense to have in your gym bag when you're training, and, really identifying, you know, um, what products are, beneficial for, the field, beneficial for, you know, uh, training, your shoot, things like that. And, I think a lot of brands out there, they're just going with what's popular, what people are familiar with, and just slapping a label on it, and, saying, okay, well, this, take this on your next hunt, because, because it has a picture of an elk or an elk antler or whatever, and I think there's room to get a little more specialized with, the supplements that are offered, for our demographic, for, for the things we like to do.
So I haven't tried like a ton of different supplements. I've had a few. But your delivery method for your Deadshot is definitely different.
Mhm.
Can you kind of like talk about that a little bit, and like what led to that
Yeah.
decision? And
Yeah, no, that's great. So I had an opportunity. I had a colleague, and he's actually a doctor. He's a naturopathic doctor. He's very respected in this industry, in the nutraceutical industry. He's a published author, has a few books on herbal medicines. And that beadlet technology, as they developed it, I, I wasn't a part of it. I was around it. I saw it being developed, and that delivery method, you know, there's like I said, I have a background in powders, capsules, and tablets, and each one has their limitations. So powders, when you're out in the field, you have to mix them with water. Um, Tablets, they have fast melt tablets, but it there is limitations on what you can do as far as uh, the active load, meaning the active ingredients in that tablet, and then capsules. They're great, but for immediate release, and just like convenience, they can be that can be kind of the drawback on capsules. And I saw the beadlets, and as a flavorist, there's a lot of ingredients that are great. Like I love boba leaf as a nootropic, as a um, cognitive boost. It's been used in Chinese medicine for centuries, and personally, I love that ingredient. I think it's great, but it's like putting tree bark on your tongue. So if you just had the dry powder and you put it under your tongue, be like, putting dirt on your tongue, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I saw the beadlets, and I saw, the opportunity. It's almost like I like to think of them as like a bunch of like mini tablets or capsules, because some of them are delayed release, and you notice like they don't really dissolve right away in your mouth, but you take them, you can swallow them, and you can swallow them or take a sip of water, and just
Oh, wait,
you know
sorry, Joe. You're supposed to swallow the beadlets in Deadshot?
yeah. So you can you can chew them.
I've been chewing them.
Like, so the reason I tell people to swallow is because you chew them and they can be pretty bitter, and it's because of
Yeah.
those ingredients that are encapsulated, right? Doesn't hurt anything to chew them. And some of the ingredients dissolve right away, and then others are more delayed release to get that cognitive boost. So you really get that calm focus like immediately, right? With the theanine and the caffeine, and then the beadlets have, like your bacopa leaf that sustains the cognitive function, and it's a little, longer lasting. And yeah, I tell people not to buy them because it's just that ingredient. Those ingredients can be very bitter and not very pleasant. Me and myself, I buy them, but but the point I was getting at, they're almost like little mini, teeny, tiny tablets, a bunch of different ones, and they're small enough that you don't need necessarily extra water if you're sitting in a tree stand, if you're running a gun and chasing elk, if you're trying to limit weight in the backcountry, you don't need added water. You don't need to, dirty your water bottle, mixing a powder in there. It's really, just kind of a marriage between, a fast melt powder and, a capsule or tablet. heavy beat, and that just goes under the tongue. And what's cool about that is, you know, without those beadlets, like I have 250 milligrams of bacopa leaf in there in a serving. Just that powder, just straight on the tongue, wouldn't be very pleasant. But with the beadlets, it's something that is a little more enjoyable. So that's really where I saw, the benefit with the beadlet technology. And it's I launched with that first product, and there's more I want to do with that. It's not, it's something that I wanted to differentiate myself from other brands out there with that product.
So question on
Awesome.
that with
Yeah.
what is the time difference? And if you don't know, I'm sorry, I might be putting you on the spot, and I apologize.
No, you're fine, Ethan. That's good.
The time difference between felt effect of because like I was a chewer for years. I chewed a can of Copenhagen a day for a long time, and then
Right.
I quit because in your lip you feel that almost instantly. What is the time difference between like an ingested, like if you took and drank it versus just holding it in your mouth and letting it dissolve in your mouth? Is there a time difference between the felt effects?
Yeah, so you have a lot of capillaries, under the lip, under the tongue, more blood vessels, so quicker the bloodstream. Time difference. Um, I don't have any scientific data on what that would be, but if you're able to ingest like in the mouth, it does cross the blood-brain barrier faster than going to the stomach. So there is a time difference. It is individualized. Some people feel the effects of Deadshot. They're like, I feel like I can feel it 15, 20 minutes after I take it. I have a buddy that is a competitive shooter. He likes to take it an hour before he shoots. He feels like that's when he, feels the benefits the most. I take mine just first thing in the morning. I love taking nootropics first thing in the morning. I feel like it just helps me, wake up the mind, balance the stress, get me going. So when I'm in the office or out in the field, doesn't matter. It's the same application for me, just first thing in the morning. I actually like to take mine, my Deadshot, and then take, some sips of coffee, and and that's how I stack it. That's how I, take my Deadshot, actually, is with my coffee. And then if I have a workout later in the day, I'll take Deadshot with a pre-workout, or if I go to the gym, in the morning, usually go mid-morning. My wife goes first at 5 a.m., which that was like my time to go to the gym forever. And then she stole it from me when I quit my 9 to 5, and now she goes, yeah, it's been a hard adjustment. Like I hate waking up. Like for years, I woke up 5:30, 5:30 straight to the gym, and I did my workout first thing in the morning, and it's such a ritual for me. Now I wake up and I'm with my daughter, and I'm just like, oh, itching to go. But anyway,
texting the wife, where are you?
Yeah, right,
I need my bump.
right. And so I'll take it, I'll take another stick, on my way to do the gym as well, stack it with my pre-workout. So that's kind of the application. But yes, the more that you can bypass the gut, the quicker, the absorption. And like I said, some of those ingredients are more of immediate release, and then some of them are more of a delayed release. So if you can chew the beadlets and take the taste, yeah, I mean, and let it sit on your tongue, which I do that. I just it's going to bypass the blood-brain barrier faster.
Awesome. Follow-up question on that. Shoot, I had it, and lost it, and it went away. Give me a second. Wait for it. I should have taken a Deadshot before this, actually.
No, you're good.
So I'm more with your buddy that feels it, 45 minutes to an hour after I take it. Is that a
Mhm.
direct, I think you mentioned it a little earlier when we were chatting. It's most likely a direct correlation between how much adrenaline and stress each individual goes through. Does that play, does your life, like, I was a Division 1 athlete, I extreme sports,
Yeah.
kayak, class 5 rivers, streams, all the extreme, I rode bulls. Like, I did a lot of really
Nice.
dumb stuff. So
That's awesome.
I like, funny story, I got my wisdom teeth pulled out, and it was first thing in the morning, and I'm in there, and they're like, well, your heart rate's too low. Your resting rate's too low. Is it like 52? They're like, we want to see you above 60 before we put you under. They gave me a shot of adrenaline. My heart rate dropped. They gave me another. They like, well, we're going to wait 5 minutes, see what happens. They're like, it hasn't come back up. We're going to give you another shot. So they gave me another shot, and it dropped to 45, 44. And they're like, sign this waiver. We're going to put you under.
Oh,
So
dang.
is that a thing of what you're, does that, I mean, obviously you get used to things and effects, right? But how
Uh-huh.
much is that going to
You
affect
know,
those?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. So, I'm not a medical doctor, and one thing I always tell people, like, whether it's my brand or another supplement that you're taking, whether it's pre-workout or a green drink, I don't care what it is. Like, it's good to let your doctor know. If you're taking certain supplements, and because all of us are wired differently. And some of us have sensitivities. I had a colleague that I worked with that she couldn't take any caffeine at all. Like, she, even after being in the industry for a long time, she was very sensitive to caffeine. Right? She just make her heart race. She get the jitters. Wouldn't be able to sleep. And she had an extreme sensitivity to caffeine. So, if you ever have questions, you definitely need to seek medical advice from a medical professional. I will say, I have found with my product that I do feel the effects um, more, and they do. What's the word I'm looking for? They they I feel it's more efficacious the more I take it. I feel the effects more when I'm hunting. I actually take Deadshot a couple times a day at least, and it's not just when I'm like putting on a stock, or like I take it first thing in the morning, and then I take it again like in the afternoon, and I just feel like it does help manage my stress levels. Because unlike you, Ethan, like you sound, I mean, you sound cold blooded, man. Like your heart rate. I'm the opposite, dude. Like I've always been like, I played sports. I've always been a really competitive guy, and I get the opposite. Sometimes I get just so jacked up, that I need to like dial it back, right? And I found when I started archery, like I struggled with target panic, and I'm talking just shooting in my backyard by myself, not even aiming down a live target or anything, because I was just like and anticipating that shot, like I just like, get so jacked up. And I've gone through a lot of things to control that. And you know, I find that there are methods, techniques, and then you know products, supplements that I can take that help me manage my stress level. That's individualized for everybody. That's different than everybody, or for everybody. What I tell everyone with supplements, doesn't matter if it's creatine monohydrate for power output when you're pushing weights, or my product when you're trying to aim down a target. Like, supplements are like the top of the pyramid, right? You're everything, like, kind of the blowback I've gotten is like, oh, like there's nothing that can fix target panic, and like no, I'm not saying that my product fixes target panic. It's an aid, and that supplements are aids. Like, nothing, there's no shortcuts. like if you want to become a really good shot, you got to have technique. So I love archery. I love hunting. The other thing I love to do, and I do it with my wife, like it's something that we do together, is we love golf. Like I love to golf. And golf is a son of a bitch, man. And it really is. Like there's days when I'm like, motherfuck this, and like
And
I
then you
want to
hit
throw
the
my club.
one perfect shot. Just like,
Yep.
I'll be back
Yep.
tomorrow.
Yep. Or you go play with your buddies and you just like kick their ass and you're like, like I love golf, and and it's such a mental game, and there's so much you know technique in your swing, and just like there's so much that goes into hitting a golf ball flush, right? There's so much that goes into shooting a arrow consistently on target, and nothing there's no shortcuts. Like you have to put in the work, but with everything, supplements can be the very tippy top of the pyramid, where you're talking they can help you that extra 1%, 2%, 5%, whatever it is. They can add that edge after you've put in the work. And that's what I believe wholeheartedly, is like they have their place, and that is their place. Like, never will I get it, tell anybody like, oh, this this will fix everything. It's not snake oil, right? Like that's not what I'm selling. You still got to like put in the work. And if you're not putting in the work, I don't care who you are. It's in a show. And, target panic. I, for years, like I went through breathing methods, techniques, and it's almost like a rhythm that I have down now when I'm shooting my bow and everything. And, like I had to put in the work to, master that, and still not perfect. And that's why I still practice all the time, and I love shooting my bow. But, from the beginning, it was something I had to struggle with. It was a challenge for me, how to overcome that target panic, like for whatever reason, like, jump. And then for the first year, like I bought a bow when I was in high school, like fucking like my junior year of high school. I had no idea what I was doing. Like me and my buddies at the time in Utah, you could buy an archery tag over the counter, hunt the whole statewide. So I went into Sportsman's. My buddy had bought a bow. He had a target, whatever. And so I go in, I buy a bow, had no idea what I was doing, spent a whole paycheck on, a bow and arrows. And I was like, all right, let's bow hunt. And I remember the first morning of the very first uh, bow hunt I ever did was for mule deer in southern Utah. And my uncle has a ranch down there, and he had some alfalfa fields, and we watched these bucks go into this junipers off this alfalfa field. So we circled around, and anyway, walking through the trees, and all of a sudden I look up, and there's this fucking 2 point like 50 yards away. Really, he was like 20 yards away, but in my mind I was like, oh, 50 yards, and I pulled back, and I just freaking sent this arrow, and it like went over his back into the tree. And I was like, holy shit, I just shot at a deer with my bow. And I got back to the truck. Yeah, I got back to the truck. I was like, guys, you'll never believe it. I got within bow range and I shot at a deer, with my bow. And I thought that was like awesome, right? So I, farted around with like bow hunting, archery for a couple of years when I could buy a tag over the counter, and it was statewide. Then Utah changed that, and then, was busy with school, chase and tell, whatever. So I didn't do it for a while.
The other whitetail.
Yeah, the other whitetail, right? And then when I really got back into it and started hunting again, and really got into it. And archery, like I always kind of had a pull, and it's I always thought archery was like super cool. And anyway, I remember when I got back into it, like first year down in southern Utah, my family has a cabin down on a unit that's a limited entry unit here in Utah. and we've had the cabin since the late 80s. So I grew up there, right? It's like where I love to hunt, like all my memories and stuff. And so you can hunt cow or spike, right? Down in this unit. And dude, I had my buddy take me down there, and this is like shit. This is like circa 2014 or something like that. I'm like, all right, get back into bow hunting, got all the gear and stuff. Dude, he called this like elk herd in, and dude, I flung arrows like, and I had been practicing all summer, but dude, like I was just like flinging arrows, man. It was like, yeah, I mean, Lord of the Rings. I was like Loki, just like like all over the fucking mountain, man. And I was like, holy shit. And then when I finally connected a few weeks later on a cow elk and saw the arrow like go through the animal and everything, that's when I like realized, holy shit, like I can actually do this. Like I can, those are, you know, those are actually effective in like killing elk, like
It's
it
like practice.
works. Yeah, it works, like it took seeing that arrow like go through the elk to realize, holy shit, it works.
There's a sharp
And
pointy thing on the end of it, and if I connect, oh my god, there's meat
right,
at the end of that trail.
right, exactly. And and I share that and I tell that to a lot of people because I think one thing that people don't realize is how important experience is. And when I say experience is just getting boots on the ground and freaking screwing up and making big mistakes. And, like Cam Haynes, like he shared a story recently, like on the Rogan podcast. And, that podcast, is like my church, that's what I listen to for, um, you know, like when I'm working out and stuff like that. And he shared his first elk hunting experience where like at 40 yards, he missed this giant bull elk, and you know, even even him, like one of the most successful bow hunters in the world, really, you have to experience it. You have to really just get out there and do it. And I think that's like the first step to anything is just like going for it, right? And just figuring it out. And I think, especially now, people would just get way too in the weeds, way too technical. Like, I have guys that have never killed anything, and they're like, "What's ask me all the like technical terms of every little detail of like my bow setup," and I'm like, "Well, I just kind of, I don't know. I guess I'll use this broadhead this year because I've killed things with it, so I think I'm good to go." And they're like, "What's your FOC?" And you with this, and I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah,
Like
FOC.
yeah, no, it's killed and it's gonna kill again. Like so. Yeah, but
So when you started bow hunting, had your family hunted up to that point, or was it just you
oh
decided to
yeah,
jump into, or you guys were like rifle hunters, and then you
oh
decided that?
yes. So we actually, so my dad is from a small town in southern Utah, like a really small town in southern Utah. One side of the highway is like a general unit. The other side of the highway is the Ponsagant. He grew up hunting the Ponsagant before it was the Ponsagant. So I grew up hunting deer out in the desert in the red sand in the junipers, and deer hunting was, um, we'd jump in the car and head down and stay at my grandparents' house, and that's where we'd stay, and go out hunting, deer in the desert every day, and it was in November, and my dad, he was a black powder, he hunted black powder, and he used to, he did it when it was like the old, round ball, right, and loose
Hmm.
powder, and so that was my introduction to hunting was muzzleloader, and we he still has the same old inlines, and never shot pellets with muzzleloader. I've always done the loose powder with the slug, and that's what I did, and that's Utah. When I was of age, like you could still get a southern deer tag and it was, over the counter, and the hunt was in November, like second week of November. So where we would hunt, a lot of times they had, migrated from the high country, and that's what I grew up doing was black powder. And they changed that when I was 16. They changed the season from November and moved the muzzleloader hunt to September here in Utah. So then I hunted the first year with the muzzleloader at my family's cabin in the high country, and I was like, this isn't deer hunting. Like, if I'm going to hunt with a muzzleloader, and I always thought archery was cool. Like, I had a compound bow when I was a kid and stuff, and I would shoot out a target, and I just thought bow hunting I just thought it was badass. But I was like, if I'm going to be up here in the high country, early season, I want to do it with a bow. And I always just kind of had that draw, right? And that's when I started. And I remember my dad's famous words when I came home. Yeah, I think I was 17 at the time with my first bow. He's like, you'll never kill anything with that. And he was right, for the first few years, he was right. But he was with me in Arizona this in January, and I shot that, that 4-point buck, and he was there. He saw, the stalks we put on and how close we got numerous times, and he's like, yeah, he's like, bow hunting. He's like, I wish I would have,
Started
given it
it
a
soon.
try.
So
Yeah. So
we actually that's where we were going to try to steer this conversation was that mule deer hunt. Walk us through that a little bit. That was a really nice buck. Sounds like you had a really good. I mean, you were down there for you were 4 days into a 7-day hunt when you finally got him.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. So I had like one of my best friends, closest buddies, lives in Kentucky, and we met. Our wives work for the same company, and anyways, that's how we met, and we hunt together. And I go back. I shot a really nice whitetail this year that was off his property, a nice 10-point. And so he introduced me to whitetail hunting, and he's come out, a few times for out west for elk. Called in a really nice bull for him in Colorado a few years ago. Unfortunately, we didn't, he missed or whatever. His buddy missed, but I helped him get his first elk, a spike down at my cabin. And anyway, he flew out to help me launch at the Pope and Young event in Reno, and we were there for 4 days there in Reno. And a couple booths over was an outfitter from Arizona bucks and bulls, and just happened that we had dinner with him a few nights, got to know him. And on the last day, Billy owns the outfit, came over to us and he's like, hey guys, I have this drawing for Coos mule deer hunt, in January, and put in. So me and Mark both like bought 25 tickets for $100 or whatever. Mark ended up drawing the ticket in the raffle, so he won the hunt. And Billy's like, Josh, I really want you to come. And I was like, yeah, I want to be there, help my buddy. And so that's how I got that connection with Billy at Arizona Bucks and Bulls, because Mark drew that raffle, and we planned this hunt, and really it was awesome. Billy did a phenomenal job. It was it was great for me because like I said, I grew up hunting deer in the desert with a muzzleloader. Doing that with a bow, oh man, that was so much fun. I mean, I just love that country, and really, we found a couple really good bucks in an area, and really just kind of targeted that area. And I wanted Mark so bad to get a deer, and Billy put us on deer like every day. I really wanted Mark to get a nice mule deer buck. Returned the favor for let me shoot that awesome whitetail on his property, right? And Mark had a few close calls that last morning, put on a stalk on a nice 4-point, and just kind of had a little 2-point buck, kind of screwed it up for him, and he ended up missing at like 60 yards or something like that, just over the buck's back. He was kind of tore up about it. It was a decent buck, and then the last afternoon we spotted like a super nice buck, like really really nice 4-point, and like, Mark, this is yours, So Mark got out, you went right at him, and I circled around back, and this is funny, we're like, you got everything? I was like, Mark, you got everything? You got your rangefinder, you got your release, you're good? Yeah, I'm good. Anyway, get back to the truck a couple hours later, and Mark's like, dude, I missed again, missed a big buck again. And this is like the last 30 minutes of light, right? Last day we were there. It's like, what? You missed? Like, what happened? He's like, dude, I left my rangefinder in the truck. And I was like, you dumbass. Like, I was pissed. I was like, you freaking moron. Like, anyway, I feel bad for him. And he's like, I thought I had it, and I thought it was in, my bino case. And anyways, he had that big buck at like 50, 60 yards, but didn't have his rangefinder and missed, and I just felt bad. And so at that point we were just like, all right, well, there's a really good Mexican spot in town. Let's go get some Mexican food, right? Like,
Nothing heals
and,
a broken heart like margaritas and salsa.
right. No, dude, this Mexican place was fire, bro. It was so good. So damn good. Like, they made their tortillas homemade, and God, I like ate there every night. Anyway, so we get in the truck and start driving down the dirt road, and all of a sudden this like doe runs across the road, and a buck's chasing her, right? And they go off, and I was like, stop, I'm gonna see if I can get a shot at this 4-point. And so I got out of the truck and circled around, and kind of they'd gone down in the swash, and I got off the road, and the doe came up, and he just came up right there broadside and smoked him at like 68 yards. And that's how it happened. And it was just crazy. He was like, and I put on some stalks on some coos deer down there. Those fuckers are hard, man, with the bow. Those things are like, mule deer are like really jumpy. Those things have like a sixth sense that a mule deer doesn't have. Crazy stuff, man. They're so
Well, they're
skittish.
also like the size of a 5-gallon bucket, so
Yeah, they're teeny. They're teeny. Yeah, they're teeny. I had one. I was like a really nice buck within bow range. I just didn't have a shot, and I guess I just like, maybe I blinked too fast or something. He got movement, and he was gone. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that buck. I thought, I really just, that whole trip, just wanted my buddy to get his deer so bad, and get a buck so bad that, like, every stock I was like, go for it. And I'd take the other angle that was less likely, and just really wanting Mark to get a buck. And then I ended up getting that 4-point right at the last 30 minutes or so of the last day we were there. So it was a lot of fun. It was a good buck, good little 4-point, and it was a lot of fun, man. And that's the thing, like, like, one soapbox I always get on is just experience over everything, man. Like, I don't really hunt for score. I'm like every other guy. I want to kill the biggest buck on the mountain. But at the end of the day, what's more important to me and what I enjoy the most is just the experience, whether it's solo hunting or hunting with some buddies. You gotta just take it all in, man.
So that's actually the perfect segue into one of the questions we've been asking everybody is so we did one of our first kind of episodes under this guest based style was with Joe from Initial Ascent, and
Oh yeah.
he was talking about his trophy moment. So like the moment that was the most memorable, just like this the epitome of what he was looking for in the outdoors that like didn't include the kill. So could you tell us about one of your trophy moments?
Yeah. So for me, the pinnacle of my like hunting career or experience or whatever, I always feel weird saying hunting career, like I'm a paid hunter, but like like I
Well,
don't
you
know.
are now. You're
Yeah,
paying
you're right.
yourself through
Yeah,
Deadshot. You own the
yeah, that's
company.
right.
You're a professional.
Yeah, we just did our taxes. So yes, my hunting career.
I am 100% sponsored to hunt.
Yeah,
Now it's me who
yes,
sponsors me, but
right, exactly. So technically my wife sponsors me. So
there you
and
go.
that's okay. She can continue to sponsor me. But yeah, the pinnacle of my hunting career is my buffalo that I shot on the Henry Mountains back in January of 22. I was the unlucky bastard that had the max points for the archery tags that year. There were six of us that drew. I had 21. There was a guy that had like 18, another guy at 14, and then a couple SOBs that had like 0 points, 1 point. I was the guy that waited 21 years to hunt buffalo with a with a bow, but that's something I always wanted to do. And anyway, you know, my I bought a wall tent. I was all prepared to like rough it. Hired a guide just out of a local town, kid, to help out. And we were going to set up camp on the south end of the mountain. We were going to be in a wall tent, stove. I was going to be out there for 2 weeks if I had to be, right? And anyway, night before, the day before, we go down there and do some scouting with my dad, and I'm with a buddy that drove in from Seattle, good friend of mine, and we're scouting, and then we meet up with the guide there in Henrysville, and he's like, "Hey, well, I spotted some buffalo on the north end, a long ways away, and we'll go check it out in the morning." So we rented some cabins or whatever just there in town, and and off we went the next morning. And right at first light, sure enough, there's the buffalo. They're freaking forever away. Like we got to the end of the trail, and these buffalo were up on the saddle, and they were like 3.5 miles from the trail, and we had to climb about 3,500 feet in elevation. And so we started walking at like 7:30. And my famous last words before we left, my guide had an injury where he couldn't come along. He could only glass from the truck. And then my dad said he was too old to hike up there. So they were going to stay back by the fire. And my last words were, I'm not going to leave Buffalo to find other buffalo, because my dad was trying to convince me, hey, first day of the hunt, we could probably find buffalo in an easier location, right? So off we went. Started hiking at 7:30. We got up on top. I spotted the buffalo that we glassed up bedded at like 4 o'clock, you know, and we've been up there all day. And I put on a stock, and my moment was I sat down behind this log, and I had the buffalo. I had two bulls bedded at 60 yards, and I literally just sat there with an arrow nocked for 45 minutes, an hour, just waiting for one to stand to get a shot. And finally stood, got a shot, whatever. But you know, just that moment was like it was almost like deja vu, where like I took it all in, and I was like, I've always wanted to get a buffalo with my bow, free range buffalo. Henry Mountains offers that opportunity, and it all like came together better than I could have ever dreamed. And I had one of my best friends there with me, and just sitting there with an arrow nocked in God's country. I mean, it was just it was better than anything I could have imagined, and how it all unfolded. And then the pack out after that, like it took us 5 days to get that buffalo off the mountain. Shot him at like, it was like 10,000 feet elevation, like in January. And we kept saying with every load we took off that mountain, once in a lifetime experience, once in a lifetime experience. So that whole experience, was like my trophy moment. And it wasn't even about, the size of the bowl or anything like that, or the kill. It really was just the moment, and that will be etched in my mind forever, and that's really, that's what we go for, man.
I mean,
And
yeah,
that's what
who
we took.
else who else can say that I was within 60 yards of two bull bison for an hour? Just
Right.
sitting there. That had to have just been awesome.
Yeah. And it was like, I waited 21 years, to draw this tag, and this is how it's all unfolding, and it was just like, it's like, pinch me, I'm dreaming. Right. And it's cool. My buddy that came down, from, Seattle, um, we talked, we met each other on a church mission. And, I talked to him about bow hunting, on, when I met him and everything. And we had been out hunting, and we've hunted together, off and on. He lives in Seattle, so it's hard to get together. We're going on a deer hunt this year, but we try to get together as much as possible to hunt. And just having him there, it was just like, it was just like the universe. It was just like the universe had that in store for me all along. And it was just like, I manifested that, and it like came to fruition. And it was really cool, and it was a lot of fun. So, and those are the stories that we, talk about around the fire, at elk camp, deer camp, for the rest of our lives, man. You know, so
Absolutely. So another perfect kind of segue into the last question we usually ask everybody. So, the podcast calls this the School of Hard Knocks, right? So if you're sitting around the campfire and you're, Joe newbie, first time to camp, first time hunting, like if you had one lesson that you want a new hunter to take away from your experiences, like what is your School of Hard Knocks? Don't learn this lesson the way I did. What would that lesson be for you?
I would say, don't. Yeah, that's a great question. How would I summarize this? Really, it's just enjoy it. I have had points where, you know, I had I've had points with like buddies where it was like such a competition, who would kill the biggest animal. Or it was such a competition, like I had set these standards for myself, going out. Like I had set these standards for myself, and you know, I've had times when I'm hunting and I'm not enjoying it. Like I grew up hunting with my dad. We never scouted. It was like, let's go shoot the beer cans at 100 yards with their muzzleloader. Yep, it's on. Okay, we're ready for the deer hunt. And I have a lot of good memories from just going out hunting, like doing the deer drive and stuff like that. And it's enjoy it. Like enjoy being in nature, enjoy, just God's creations, enjoy just the aspect of getting out and taking it all in, and don't have expectations for yourself. Just enjoy, man. Like, and that's what I would tell anybody. Like, just enjoy it. Forget about score. Forget about, all these things, that have become so much a part of hunting. Just forget about all that. Just get out there and see if you can find some elk, find some deer. And guess what? You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to screw up. You're going to think, oh, yeah, that's a good spot. just because it's like the farthest point from the road. But you'll learn that's not necessarily always the best spot, right? But
You're gonna
enjoy it,
come
man.
back and
Enjoy.
there's gonna be boot tracks of a deer. I literally had this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, elk hunting. We came back to the truck. We, hiked like 4 miles down this ridge, found some couple bulls. They weren't really playing. We screwed up a call out on a raghorn. Come back, literally lick marks on the bed of my pickup from an elk laying
Uh,
there. Boot tracks right in the dirt, in the dust, and just slobber. Licked all the mineral off the side of my truck. It's like we should have just sat in the bed and drank beer.
right. I had an elk hunt once where I spent the whole month trying to find the elk, and then I got a hot tip from somebody, and I on a whim went to this like new spot and like set up camp on a Friday night. There was like an hour left of light, maybe. And I was like, I'm gonna just go walk around camp, see if I can find some fresh sign. I ended up shooting this raghorn like,
From
quarter
camp.
mile from camp. Like I was like, oh hell yeah. Like just walked into these elk, and I hunted my ass off that year, like just trying to find elk, like these grueling, like just, you know, hikes and backpacking into these remote areas, like, and I just on a whim just went to this spot, literally a quarter mile from camp, shot this raghorn. I was like, what the hell? Yeah,
This
like
is easy, huh?
right. This is easy. And anyway, so that's what I tell people is just enjoy it, man. Like just enjoy being out, just enjoy the process. Like, that sounds cliche, whatever. But I have to remind myself of that, sometimes because especially with us, right? Like we've started brands, companies within the industry. And sometimes, we put pressure on ourselves, like unneeded pressure, set expectations,
No one's going to take me
because we're
seriously if I don't kill every year, and
Dot,
I
dot,
don't
dot.
I don't have this giant bull hanging above my TV. Yeah.
right. Exactly. Yep. And yep, that's exactly right. I mean, before I ever launched my, supplement line, I launched a apparel line that failed miserably. And when I launched that apparel line, that's when I really was like, oh, I gotta, I set all these expectations, and I look back at those couple years where I hunted, and I was like, man, that was kind of, yeah,
Not
not very
enjoyable.
fun. Yeah, like I had so much pressure on myself, right? It's just so stupid.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting towards the end here. So, real quick,
Uh,
Josh, you are now Deadshot Nutrition.
Yes.
What products besides Deadshot do you guys have coming out? Like any new exciting launches coming up? What do you got?
Heck yeah.
What are the
Yeah.
goodies?
Yeah. Hey, this is the cherry on top, man. This is what we've been waiting for, right? So, Deadshot, you're right. The rebrand, we're Deadshot Nutrition. Um, Deadshot Calm and Focused is our first product. That's the stuff that helps you keep calm and focused in those crucial moments. The next product that we're launching is a hydration drink. Um, Hydration is foundational, especially when you're sweating a lot, putting a lot of miles on the boots, exercising. Our hydration drink is no bowl hydration. It literally is your core, your electrolytes that you need, and it's a delicious drink that you want to consume. It's a refreshing beverage after a hard workout or a hot day on the mountain. I have some other products in development. Right now, I have one that will launch right after hydration that I'm really excited for. That I think every hunter will want and need in their pack when they're in the backcountry, and probably want to drink on the daily when they're at home. So a lot that you know, there's a lot in development that we have working that I'm working on right now, but hydration is next in line, and you'll see that in time for the hunts this fall, and hopefully even some of the 3D shoots this year. So this summer.
Awesome. That's super exciting. And hearing that you got more stuff coming up, we're gonna have to have you back on and hear about that again.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
What about you
So why
guys?
don't you?
What does Red Patch have?
Well,
I
Oh,
want to hear what you guys have. I mean, I
we
used
are.
your Bugle tube holder a ton.
mhm.
So we got the bugle keeper, we got the call keeper, and then we have the bow dangler, the 3-point sling. Um,
Yep.
and all of those, the running joke is Jed made all of those so he could actually enjoy his hunt because I was always asking him to hold things for me.
The quickest way to say
You're
this
like the
is that I'm a
squire.
problem solver and that Ethan is my problem.
That's good. That's good.
But
Provides a solution-based company. I love it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
so we do have we're working on some prototypes right now. We're getting back. Those are our big three. We are working on getting back into the bino harness game. Jed has come up with something that I think is gold. A lot of
Nice.
people we've talked to as well are pretty excited about it. So we're going to get some demos out, and you'll probably see them on us this at 3D shoots coming up here. We're going to run
Awesome.
through the ringer then, and then I have to make sure that he's research and development, I'm research and breaking. So he'll get it made, and then I will try to break it, and then if I can't break it, we will launch it. So
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's a good plan.
pretty
I like
Yeah,
excited.
we're really
for those.
gonna work this one out. We've got a half dozen people who are gonna be rocking them this summer and fall. And then yeah, if all goes well, our hope is to launch sometime either fall or spring next year. So
That's very cool. That's very cool.
yeah.
Well, I like what you guys are doing. Keep it up,
Thanks.
and I'll send you some hydration as soon as I have it.
Absolutely.
My,
Oh yeah.
I'll need it
send
for
you
my
some of
Arizona
that.
hunt this fall.
Yeah, I do. Oh yeah, dude. Congrats, man. That's awesome. You stoked?
Yes and no. Yes, because it's amazing. No, because September's still 6 months away.
So, I mean, did you have quite a few points, or did you kind of draw a rabbit out of the hat?
At one point.
Damn, son.
So I ended up
Good for
drawing.
you.
I burned points last year I accidentally put a second archery only cow tag as my second choice. So I burned 3 points. I donated the tag to a veterans association because I can hunt
Oh,
cows
cool.
up here for $20. I don't need to go to Arizona to try to hunt a cow.
Right.
Just expecting to buy a point, and
It's called karma.
all of a sudden my credit card got hit, and I was like, no way. I put unit 8 as my first choice every year because I want to go hunt that unit. Good bull potential, good bull cow ratio. It's a good unit. And my wife worked in Arizona in 5A, so 5A is my second choice. It's not a super desirable unit. I was like, I drew 5A, and then they finally announced, and I did not focus at work for the next 2 days because I was just highlighting water in 8, just
that's
it was pretty
It's
awesome.
funny that he implies that there's a point that he focuses at work, but
Stop.
yeah. It's it's so even doing my own thing, right? Like I'm launching, Deadshot, working on that. We have some rental properties that I manage, and I still catch myself spending too much time on like Go Hunt and researching like Google Maps, like just like looking at Onyx and making plans for the next hunt. So that's good. That's good. Your head's in the right place, man.
all
And
right.
congrats. I hope you smoke a giant.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, we're going to bring this one to a close. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, Josh?
Yeah. So Instagram, Deadshot_nutrition. And that's the place to find me right now. Like updating the website and completing the rebrand now as we speak. But Deadshot_nutrition is the Instagram handle. Best place to find us.
All right. Perfect. Yeah. Thanks for being on with us. Everybody listening, if you got any questions, comments, or anybody you'd like to hear us interview, go ahead and hit us up at redpatchoutdoors@gmail.com. And
Jed,
thanks for
you
listening.
keep forgetting. It's
Oh wait,
Jed,
yeah.
we have real website
We have
it's
real email addresses now.
Jed at redpatchoutdoors.com, Ethan at redpatchoutdoors.com, or info at redpatchoutdoors.com.
Hit all three. for
Yeah.
sure.
Just group Mac. Well, all three of us will get like 6 notifications. It'll be great.
I like it.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, everyone.